Hey, sup, my dude?
Hi, welcome back to Soundtrack. Thank you for listening. My name is Walter.
Hey, I'm Brent.
And we got some exciting news. We're actually going to go to see Between a Buried and Me. By the time you hear this, we will already have gone to see Between a Buried and Me.
Yeah, later we'll stitch in our post-concert review of it, but we're just doing a little intro just because it's been a little while since we last recorded, so just have some things to catch up on.
Yeah, so we'll start off as usual. What have you been deep diving into?
I got a buttload of recent listens. So last time you were really getting into classic hip hop, like Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah.
I was kind of talking about, I was listening to a lot of old favorites, and because of not going to concerts, I wasn't really discovering as much new stuff. So after that episode, and we were also talking a lot about Rings of Saturn. I listened to Rings of Saturn's whole discography, and it rips.
It's sick.
And then I listened to Notorious B.I.G., and that really rekindled my passion for music and just opened the floodgates. And I've just been listening to just a whole bunch of stuff.
Dude, yeah, I feel that. So far, I guess a little recap. I've been deep diving into New Hiatus Coyote, and I think last time since we last saw each other, kind of still on the little hip hop kick, but then I evolved into listening to new metal because I don't know what happened. I think slowly getting back into Korn, and I was just Brian Head Welch has some mean riffs, especially within that era. It's just they were kind of mixing in hip hop and metal. You can kind of hear it with how he incorporates kind of a really high pitched sound, kind of how West Coast style hip hop has specifically Snoop Dogg kind of has a little wee, kind of that little sound, and that's very apparent in Korn style. And I was oh yeah, I forgot how pretty cool they were as a kid, and that kind of rekindled that flame, and then slowly evolved and took that turn to Limp Bizkit, and then we can talk about Fred Durst's new hairstyle too after that.
Oh, yeah.
The internet went crazy for that. I was crazy for it.
Yeah, I've been seeing it all over the place. Them, and they're touring with Spirit Box, which
I know.
is a funny duo, but...
it works. I think anybody touring with a big name like Limp Bizkit, I'd be excited.
Yeah. I've never been too huge into new metal. I think probably Slipknot and Deftones are probably the only two new metal groups that I was legitimately into. Never really got into Korn, never got into Limp Bizkit. I'm sure there's a ton I'm forgetting.
R.I.P. Joey with Slipknot.
Yeah, that's right. Joey Jordison recently passed away.
Yeah, that was a pretty heavy hitter.
I was super surprised. I mean, he's in his 40s or something.
Yeah, late 40s.
Yeah, and as far as I heard, just passed away in his sleep. Not really sure what caused it.
I know he was dealing with some aneurysms. I don't know the specifics.
Oh, yeah, those can just happen anytime.
Yeah, so apparently from at least word of mouth has been telling me one of the reasons why he left Slipknot is that at some point he wasn't able to control his legs.
Ooh.
So I don't know how true that is, but I'll fact check myself later.
That's rough. Yeah. I'll add facts in post.
Yeah. Yeah, which is real news to me because I know they left I know he left Slipknot, but I thought it was over kind of band disagreements.
Yeah,
I think that's when the big news came out, and then they had Jay Weinberg fill in.
I never really dug into it much. I think assumed the same thing. I just figured Corey Taylor, was probably just a hothead to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fun fact with Joey, I did not know he was an engineer. Apparently he produced 9.0 Live, which I thought was really well produced. Super sick. Love that album. That live album specifically. It gets me really hype every time I hear it because you hear the crowd just cheering on, and I'm just man, what it would be like to be seeing Slipknot kind of in their prime after they kind of released an essential album at this point, which is not Disaster Pieces, Subliminal Verses Volume 3. That's a pretty that's an essential album.
There's a lot of bangers on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Before I Forget, that's a really good one. You have Wait and Bleed, I think.
Yeah, what Duality?
Oh yeah, Duality for sure.
That had a crushing riff at the end of it. and was like, I don't know, Vermilion. I was super angsty too.
Yeah, Vermilion
part 1 and 2.
Yeah, the acoustic one was super nice. I like that one.
Yeah, Slipknot was definitely super influential. I mean, middle school, I was crazy about them, and they were definitely one of the heavy hitters that opened the gates to me to heavier music.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think my first introduction to them, besides before I forget, was the Blister Exists, like getting into guitar.
Oh yeah, if I'm remembering that one right, there's like a crazy like just drum lead or solo like at the start that starts that song. Oh, that's the song. Yes, yeah.
That has like a little
crazy
like linear
build up.
fill. And then like I thought it was so crazy just like listening on the bus on like either my iPod. No, it was with my iPod because the iPod Nana was out at the time. I had like that whole album on it. Whenever that riff came on, I was just so amazed that I wanted to write riffs like that, because at least what Mick Thompson was doing was just like super fast tremolo picking and like in like the higher registry of the fretboard. And I was just like, I want to be able to like sync up my hands and my hands like to that level.
Oh yeah, I was listening on my iPod and my earbuds, just like blasting that out, just drowning I'm sure people could hear it around me. Super obnoxious, blowing out my ears.
Mm-hmm. God, what a time.
I've seen them live before, and they're very fun.
I want to see them live. I still do.
Really high energy, and just like pyrotechnics and lots of machinery going on. Like there's the different drums that get up and spin around and stuff. And
yeah.
It's almost like part circus act. They have so many members, and they're all just running around like trying to get your attention. It's real wild.
It's so cool. I want to be there. I still want to see them live. Like, I don't care. Like,
yeah, definitely. Every time they release an album, like I'm not as hardcore into them, but every time they release an album, I still check it out, and they definitely still have a raw aggression that a lot of heavy bands seem to lose as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I do feel it. I think the aggression's there, but it's definitely tamed throughout the years. They just got older, and they're like, I'm trying to pay the bills.
Yeah,
which I get. And it's like not bad. I can definitely like listen to it and just be like, it's still a very well structured song.
Less to get angry about.
Yeah.
Got a wife and kids.
Bills. Water bill. Electric bill. For sure. Would love to see them live. Hopefully one day. Like I'm sure it's still gonna be like just as top notch as it was back in the day, but I think even more because now like 2 members has passed. So like I feel like fans are like, oh, I gotta like start seeing them before they all croak.
Yeah.
Which I don't want that to happen.
After you had been listening to Notorious B.I.G., like I had mentioned last time, I hadn't really gotten into much classic hip hop other than like maybe some specific albums and whatnot. But I really dug it. For the first time, legitimately listened to and got into Notorious Big, WuTang Clan, finally. Like besides just hearing some singles, like actually listen to some albums. Tupac, Nas. That also got me into Run the Jewels.
I love
like over
Run
again.
the Jewels. I love Run the Jewels. What do you think of Nas?
I've really only listened to Illmatic, and that's a classic album, and probably arguably his best one. I've never really listened to any of his other stuff.
Okay,
but
my opinion doesn't matter on like hip hop in general. But like, Stillmatic was one that I think that's
Stillmatic, yeah. WuTang Clan was really fun to finally get into. It was just still holds up. Was just really fun to listen to. Had great beats, creative sampling, and just really sharp, witty lyrics.
Mm-hmm. That's one group I haven't dove deep into like heavily, but every time they're on, like I'm usually pretty like satisfied. I'm never not gonna like their music. Fun fact: Luke Cage. Every episode is named after a Wu-Tang song.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that.
It's really
I wouldn't
cool.
have been aware. Yeah,
good show. I like that show a lot.
It is cool. Yeah, I watched it a while ago. Godspeed You Black Emperor had an album called God's Pee at State End.
Okay.
And I listened to it only once. I want to revisit it at some point, but it was relaxing. They're post rock, so it was like very ambient and soft and melancholic. But yeah, I'd like to revisit that. Cannibal Corpse had a new album, Violence Unimagined.
Ah, it's so good.
Listened to it a couple times.
It's so good.
It's what can you say at this point? It's like, you know what you're going to get, but it's just that. Like, it's good. You know it'll be good, and it's just fun.
So like my favorite song off that track is track number 4, Condemnation Contagion. Like it is such a badass of like an intro, like
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say I don't remember the song titles from that album, but yeah, that song was my favorite too.
I forget the guy's name. I'll look his name up real quick.
Eric Rutan.
Yeah, Eric
the
Rutan,
new guitarist.
Yeah. Like he's from Hate Eternal, I believe. He fits the band perfectly.
And apparently he's been a producer for them before. I don't know for which albums, but
we were talking about that earlier. Like a lot of famous people are like just has a little edge to them.
People
that you just
wear
don't
many
know.
hats. Like
Yeah.
I'm always just naive and think people just have like their one role and that's it.
Yeah, same here. I'm just like, I guess with Joey Jordison, I just thought of him as a drummer and then like maybe a guitarist for Murder Dolls. Never thought he was like a producer as well. And Eric Rutan, like just finding out that he was a producer, I'm like, oh shit, news to me.
In a previous episode, you mentioned The Wretched Spawn was one of your favorites.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't really remember. I know I've listened to their whole discography, but I didn't really remember it. So I went back and listened to that one, and I dug it. It was a fun one.
I love that album. It's fast. It's straight to the point, but it's also like the production's good on that one.
Yeah,
it's good.
And it's cool when there's these sort of legacy bands that have been around for a while, and just naturally you have different band members kind of come and go, and each, it's noticeable when they bring a little something different to the albums.
Agreed.
There's this group called The Armed. I guess they could mostly be referred to as like a hardcore group, but they're kind of artsy and maybe a little proggy. But they had this new album come out called Ultra Pop, which I heard of because it was getting a lot of comparisons to Dillinger. And so anytime that pops up on my feed, you know, my brain just starts lighting up and I get all excited. I tried to give it a listen. I tried to be open-minded with it. And I didn't dislike it, but just, I don't know. I just wasn't, it just didn't really hook me. I don't know. There just wasn't really anything there I was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I got a random YouTube recommendation that was pretty solid. This like
the Down the Rabbit Hole
death metal band Ingested had a new album called Where Only Gods May Tread.
That sounds really tight.
And yeah, it was tight. It was punchy, straight to the point, just like solid riffage.
Rivers of Nile.
Oh yeah,
I love them. Like
they're cool. I
cannot stop listening to Where Owls Know My Name. Like that album is a masterpiece. Like
they are cool. They're like proggy and tech death.
Yeah. And like the saxophone, like it kind of just adds a new element.
Definitely.
Like the album before that was sick, but I'm like, this album is just like, it's like the equivalent to Language to me when I first discovered it.
It's their saxophone it's integrated well into the music. Like it's not just forced in there to have it. Like it's like they definitely incorporate it into the song structure. Like they fully intend it to be there.
Oh, dude, it's so sick.
Instead of just adding it for ambiance or something.
Mm-hmm. No, it's super well done. They're like, I can't say they're underground because they're starting to come up now, but like they're definitely like slept on a little bit.
Yeah, I think they did get some good publicity from what's it called? Where Owls May Sleep.
Oh, Where Owls Know My Name.
Where Owls Know My Name. Yeah, I think that one did put them in the map a bit more. And I did see them live at some point. Like I didn't go there to see them, but I remember seeing them and being like, "Oh, that was pretty rad."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Misha Mansoor released his album, like his solo album.
I actually didn't check it out.
I checked it out. Like
I probably would at some point. I don't know why I didn't.
It's good. It's actually a lot more synthy than I thought it would be.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I checked out his stuff, his Bulb stuff, like his kind of like full catalog from the beginning to the present. So I checked out that, and so I guess when he released his album, I don't want to say was burnt out, but was just kind of like, all right, I listened to a lot of his stuff. I need a little break. Yeah, because I listened to them all.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot.
It's heavy, like to go through because it's like
there's like 12 of them or something.
It's an ear workout for sure because you're like the production's like I started from the latest release that he put on to the very first like I guess like just demo tracks when he used to put it on like I forgot what the website was called, Cloud Sound or sound not SoundCloud. It's something different.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely didn't listen as much to his like early demo stuff.
Like you just hear progressively get worse, but it's still like decent enough where you can like it's palatable.
Yeah.
I was in I guess as you heard me earlier, I was in a huge like 70s kick, like Earth, Wind and Fire and like Kool and the Gang. Like I forgot how fun. I guess we forgot how fun they were, and like Michael Jackson and like George Michael's. I was like, these are songs that hold up like the test of time.
Yeah, every once in a while I put that stuff on, and it definitely does still hold up, and it's fun to see what songs stand the test of time. And like when you're living in the present, you're never, you can assume, but you're never completely sure what future generations will still listen to that's out now.
Mm-hmm. I think what started this whole kick of like kind of going back into like the 70s is like I was watching this Vice documentary, and it was talking about this guy who had like this like crazy hotel in Ibiza. Like a lot of like celebrities would go and kind of like be free, be themselves, especially during that time where it's like very, very homophobic or whatever. And like George Michael's was one of them. And then I was like, oh, isn't he like the saxophone, like Careless Whisper dude? And then I was like, actually, that is a sick line. Let me learn it. And then I was like listening to it. A YouTube recommendation popped up. It was like a Michael Jackson Rock With You. And I was like, you know, I do like that chord progression as well. Let me learn that too. And eventually it just stopped became about like learning. And it became just more enjoying. About just enjoying.
Just sinking into it.
And then I eventually got into like Kool and the Gang. Was never wondering where like their Summer Madness like synth thing was. I never actually knew it. I just always just heard it in passing. And then once I heard it, I was like, that is that like famous like synth that kind of just like goes up in pitch and eventually just gets to the highest note and it just kind of fades away. And it's just like a really chill, mellow song. Really, very easy listening, but I just wait for that synth, and that's about it. I don't care about the whole thing.
Billie Jean's my favorite Michael Jackson song, and then I've actually seen Earth, Wind and Fire before, and it was super fun.
I know
I'm
so jealous.
I mean, there's a ton of them, so they're all covering the stage. So there's just visually, there's a lot to look at, and it was just so groovy. It was a groove fest. I just like I was in love with the bassist. It was so much fun.
That's where, like, I think when my friend says this, or like some artist said this, where like the guitars catches your attention, but like the bass is what makes your ass shake.
My appreciation for the bass has grown over the years. It used to be something that I never paid attention to or cared about at all, and increasingly that's the thing I'm listening to for. In songs. It's just I guess like for me, not playing an instrument, it's a little more palatable and easy to understand like what's going on with it, what's being played, and also it just has such a noticeable effect in the song. It's kind of an undercurrent, but like once you really focus in on it, you realize how much it contributes. And then also in heavier music, it's very important. And it's usually what's really bringing the heavy.
Dude, it's coming from like I guess in a production standpoint, like a lot of guitar tones that you hear like sound quote unquote heavy AF. A lot of it has to do because of the bass, because you got to like, well, I actually don't know any production techniques, but like you kind of like back off on like the bass on like the guitar tones, but like when you introduce the bass in it and then kind of add like that drive, especially like Meshuggah, like their tones is kind of very, very weak, but when you add the bass to it, it kind of like fills up that spectrum and it just sounds so full and massive. Like it just covers an entire wide range of sounds that when we listen to in a CD, it just like pops like heavy. That's how you get that chung sound.
Chung. Speaking of like genty goodness, Spirit Box has been releasing some singles for their album that's coming out later this year, Eternal Blue.
Yeah, actually, when they came out, I like them a lot. I think they're super sick. Like, but I think I got on the train a little late. Where I'm just kind of like I never followed them from the beginning.
Oh, I didn't either. I got into them only relatively recently, but I got like quickly obsessed with their, because up till now they just have an EP, or I think it's 2 EPs that they have, and one's like a collection of singles. So I'm excited to hear a fully fledged album, and all the singles they've released have been pretty banging. Like Circle With Me was the latest one I was into, and then Constance was kind of like a more somber song, and I forget some of the others, but yeah, there's like 5 singles that are out for it now. And Vildhjarta finally released another new single.
Wait, when did they release one?
They did. I can't pronounce what it's called. It's here, I'll show you on my phone. That's how it's spelled. Nardu de du Alscar. But yeah, there's a music video for it, and it's like a male pole dancer. And the video is just him on a pole dance.
Yes, I did see
and
that
there's
one.
a snake, and there's just like this one part where I don't even want to say it's like super heavy because it's kind of understated, but just this one super weird, like asymmetrical riff in the middle of the song that I'm just like, yes, this is what I'm here for, Vildhjarta. Like just your weird stuff that you bring to the table.
Yes. So like, I forget how long it's been since we like did a podcast, and then when you mentioned like they released a new song, I was like, wait, another one?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So I was like,
it has been a little bit because we recorded a bunch there for a while, and then we've been releasing them monthly, but we've kind of taken a break from actual recording.
Yeah, which was nice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Which was like, cause like we got to like build up content a little bit, and then like kind of just sit and rest and let like content build up as months go on, and then like it just feels so new again.
Yeah,
like bring
absolutely.
it up.
Like each time I'm pretty pumped for it and ready to go, and got all sorts of stuff to listen to. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Like since the previous time we had brought up the single that had released from Gojira's new album, Fortitude. Sorry,
it's a good album. It's a good album.
Yeah, so since last time Gojira's new album, Fortitude, has come out, which one of the previous times we talked about a single, and I dug it. It was...
Born for One Thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good album. I like that album. I think when it came out, I dug deep into that album, I think for a solid week, but then like I quickly was just like, all right, I'm next. A little bit.
Yeah, I get like that sometimes too during periods where there's lots of album releases at the same time. It's like I listen to things, I do enjoy them, but I'm also just kind of checking off items. It's kind of like, okay, I need to get through this so I can get to the next thing. So I was kind of like that with this album. I did enjoy it. I listened to it, I think maybe like 2 or 3 times. But yeah, I haven't really gone back to it. I did enjoy it. Their Gojira is consistently good. I think there was some interview or article blurb where I heard them say they wanted the album to be pretty uplifting, which I feel like I noticed that a bit, and thought it was kind of cool that the self-titled song on the album, Fortitude, like usually self-titled songs on albums are really bombastic and huge. They're like, this is the centerpiece, you know, like here's the mission statement or whatever. But it was just a really understated song.
Was it like the Amazonian chant thing?
Yeah, it was the one that was really minimalist and just had some chanting. Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. That one did stuck out to me the most because it's like, as far as like the album vibe, it was like I got what they're doing, but then like I'm also like here for the heavy. And for me, that stuck out because it wasn't heavy, but it was also kind of like, I feel like it meant a lot. Because I know they're very big in like environmental issues.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like,
their songs definitely mean something to them.
Yeah. So
I mean, I appreciate larger cause.
When it was like, I think the first album go around, I was like, what is this? I'm not gonna skip it, not right now. But then eventually I just stopped. I didn't bother to skip it just because I was like, it's soothing.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't listen to like stuff like that all the time, but I guess it just one of their influences.
There was some song on that album that had a didgeridoo.
Wow.
Carnifex had a single called 7 Souls.
I actually didn't listen to it yet.
It was good. It had some heavy breakdowns, meaty tone,
Ooh.
good lyrics, some, nice Blackened deathcore for you.
Meaty tones. Insert meat emoji.
Yeah.
Dude, Structures though. Last time we talked, like Structures wasn't
That's
even
right.
a thing.
I forgot to bring them up. Yeah, they finally had a new EP.
It's good.
Yes,
It's very good.
it was really good. If you're going to come back after an extended period of time, that's the way to do it. Is come back swinging.
Oh, dude, yeah, they came back swinging hard. I loved it. I don't know if I mentioned this on like a previous podcast, but like I went to go see them. I think at the All Stars tour or like some tour, Fire and Ice tour.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was only there for like the very last song.
Oh, you did mention that. That's right.
Yeah, and I was like, ugh. But like now there's hope to see them again. So I'm like,
that would be awesome. Yeah, that one album of theirs, I think it was called Divided By. It just
Divided
had
By is
the,
really good.
like slash symbol in it. I was really obsessed with that album.
mm-hmm. I was really obsessed with that album too, but the production sucked on it, so like kept me from listening to it.
Yeah, that is true.
But also, Life Through a Window, that was a good album.
Oh yeah,
That was the last album they put out.
I do remember that. I didn't listen to it as much, but yeah, that's right. I can like feel fog moving out of the way from that part of my brain. You saying that album,
You're like, oh,
I'm like, oh yeah, that thing.
that
Memory uncovered.
yes, it's like an Assassin's Creed level. You can't go to this part yet until you unlock the memory.
Yeah, you climbed a tower and like revealed through the fog of war.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that EP came out hard, and as like I guess a gearhead as well, I noticed that they were still using the same guitars as they did when they were using when they were putting out like music videos or like playthroughs for
That's
their
fine.
album Divided By. They were using the same guitars. I was like, they're real ones. Like
Yeah.
they did not decide to like change the guitars whatsoever. They're like, this is the ones we're gonna
It's like
use.
they literally just put them down, did some other things for a couple years, and just brought them back up.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, that's tight. I respect that. Like they didn't like upgrade or anything, and I was kind of like, you don't see that often. Usually when bands like put something down, they change like what they're using.
Yeah.
And like I mean I do that.
A lot of bands are like, not that I even know firsthand, but just observing, a lot of bands seem to be like real gearheads, like constantly just like that's its own culture sort of.
It is. It's kind of cool. It's fun. But they were still using the same like carvins, not Kiesels, like carvins. Like before Jeff Kiesel like took over the company. Carvins are like, I guess Kiesels and / Carvins are like just affordable custom shop guitars that a lot of people can afford. You don't have to go through a dealer or whatever. You order directly from their website. But yeah, just kind of seeing like OG Carvins come out, I was like, wow, that's kind of like crazy. That's a blast from the past for me.
Rivers of Nile, you kind of thought was a little unrated. So this has been a favorite band of mine for a while, and I got back into them again. But Ion Dissonance, they're a
Interesting.
Canadian genty mathcore band.
Okay.
And they've been at it since like 2001, and I feel like they're underrated. I brought them up once before to you and Damien.
Were we like, okay.
You all weren't into it, but I don't know. Maybe you were thinking of a different group, or you just legit aren't into them, that's fine.
It's not fine.
But yeah, I just got like re-obsessed with them for a bit. I mean, I feel like for as heavy and consistently good that they've been, that I feel like I don't ever really hear them discussed, kind of, even in the metal community.
Like the name is very familiar. I'd never like decided to actually check them out, to be honest.
Yeah. Maybe it's because they haven't really toured much. I don't know. I checked out that group Landmarks, the one that
we saw like just watching in passing.
Yeah, we were
They're
over
good.
here and you just had it recommended. Yeah, I checked them out. They're a French metalcore band, and their records were basically what we heard in that live performance. They have a variety of stuff.
Yeah.
They have just like really accessible, catchy songs. They have really blunt, heavy metalcore songs, and then they have a couple of those like trap rap segments. And all of it was done pretty well. So that was pretty surprising. That was a pretty cool, well-rounded group.
that one band Glassbones or like Glass Straw. I think it was Glassbones, right, or something like that.
Something like that.
Something.
Glassbones or Glassjaw.
All right, Glassbone. Yes, it was Glassbone.
Okay,
so,
yeah, I remember.
So
them.
like the very it had like very male of Maya Veil of Maya like style riffing when we first introduced it, like the huge like chug and like wah 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 chug wah wah chug kind of like that side. I was like, okay, it's pretty common, but it's pretty sick. And then I think we just started like watching it. We were like, actually, this is very, very good.
It was a cool set. Yeah, if I'll put the link to that video in the description. It was a recorded concert set. Or I don't know. There's a term for that. Like not a venue like with an audience or anything, but just a recorded session that was really cool with Landmarks, Glassbone, and Resolve. That was really good.
I liked it a lot, actually. I'm glad we watched it. We were just like they were just in passing. We just kind of like looked at it. We were like, all right, it's kind of cool. Because we haven't like just sat down like listened to music, and it was also like a live stream because I haven't really checked out live streams like that, just because like it sounds very selfish and rude. I don't feel like paying for a live stream.
Yeah, got on some Bandcamp rabbit holes.
Ooh, okay.
And found some stuff. I found this group I really dig called Fawn Limbs.
Never heard of them.
And I think Mathcore Index might have turned me on to them, and their Bandcamp describes them as blackened math grind. And it's just like really heavy. It's like if black metal was also grindcore. It's like very heavy and also just like edgelordy, dark, atmospheric. And I really dig it. Mouth Breather, I had talked about before. They got that album out. I'm Sorry, Mr. Salesman, and it held up. It was rad. It's a real quick power violence or grind album.
Ultraviolence.
Oh yeah,
a bit of the old Ultraviolence.
This group, Osiris.
What?
Osiris. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but they're like a blackened death metal group. They had some fun riffs. This one group called LLNN. They're a post-metal group, and I discovered them because they're on Pelagic Records, which is the same label as The Ocean.
Oh, okay.
And it definitely... I looked at some other artists from that label, and they all definitely do have like a similar vibe, a lot of like post metal on there, but LLNN is the one that stuck out to me the most. They were a bit hardcore. They were the kind of like the heaviness comes from just slow, massive chugging. Yeah.
Oh, dude. So you know that TikTok song? It's very popular right now. It's like moving my ass in these platforms, and then you do like the whole like. So like, I was very annoyed because I was like seeing it on like Instagram. I refuse to get a TikTok. No, putting that out.
I got one.
Oh no! And every time I hear it, I'm like, I want to hear like the actual song, and I want to know why it's popular. And eventually, it came down to it, where I just put in the lyrics like in Google, and it like showed me up like it showed up as like young Manny, and like I decided to listen to the whole song, and I'm like, this is it? Are you kidding? Like I was very like disappointed. Like
yeah,
I was just very disappointed by it. Like Cookie Kawaii, that was a cooler TikTok song than it was. I mean, that was a cooler TikTok trend than this Young Manny. The Young Manny song. It's called Clap For Him. I was just like very disappointed with that song. I was just like, okay. At some point, you know, like when you listen to a song you don't like, but you listen to it again to see if you don't like it, but you keep doing it.
You got to like confirm it.
Yeah.
Like listening to Corey Feldman, you got to be like, was that real?
Yeah, a little bit. And then like the thing is like it became part of my routine of like listening to music I don't like.
Yeah. I like cringe, so you know, sometimes I'll get back in there.
And like but anyways, I just kind of like confirmed where I'm just like, yeah, no, it kind of like makes me roll my eyes back like, this is what kids are doing, you know?
I feel like something a technique that I've used to try to reform from being such a music elitist and a snob.
I know.
Is deconstructing songs I like and don't like and articulating what I like or don't like about them. So instead of just being like, oh, that's a crap group, I go like, so I'll listen to a song, you know, if it's like on the radio or something and just it's not rubbing me the right way, I go, okay, what specifically is going on that I don't like here? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of fun to dissect songs like that.
It is fun. I think what I really don't like about that song is just like, well, it's the main guy, Young Manny, just says the chorus like way too much, or like the hook like way too much.
Oh yeah,
he says it like a lot, and I'm just kind of like, I kind of just kind of get tired of it. Like it's nothing special at that point. It's just very hype. Like if I was drunk in a club, I'd probably be like, yeah. Songs
that have 4 or more choruses or hooks really get on my nerve and wear me out. I'm like, I used to think 3 was like the best. Like a traditional song structure, just like verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. In like basic song structures, I mean. But like I'm kind of into like these like shorter SoundCloud songs and just like streaming era songs where they just give you like 2 hooks just to get you like, you're just kind of like, oh, I thought there'd be more, you know, just like a quick 2-minute banger.
Because you wanted to listen to it again.
So yeah, I'll listen to that stuff like dozens of times.
Yeah,
because it's just like, it's so short. It's like, all right, another go round. Like,
God, yeah. So that's what I don't like about that song. It's kind of like how we brought up earlier, Montero.
Yeah,
it's just to me, it just doesn't really have any substance.
Yeah, you mentioned before about it has like 2 guitar chords in it, but they don't really go anymore. They trail off. And I went back and listened to it, and I definitely noticed that it's not like there's an instrumental, like you couldn't just play guitar through that whole song. It's like guitar was just sort of thrown in there as an element.
Yeah.
It's just a layer thrown in.
Yeah, and it just, the 2 choruses, they don't resolve. And like I don't feel like they just actually don't know what they were thinking. They were just like, let's just put them in there.
Well,
like,
Nas,
I think I would have been like, I get they're trying to do like a flamenco-y Spanish type of thing, but then like it just didn't have any like resolution to like, it didn't make you want to be like, oh, let me learn that chord progression. It didn't say like this is actually kind of interesting, versus kind of like, you know, Bruno Mars's and like Anderson .Paak's like single when he put together. That's a very, very nice,
oh yeah, they're
song.
Legitimately playing.
Yeah, it's a very complex song. And
yeah, it's I mean, artists can do what they want, but it is kind of weird to me when people, and this is probably, I guess, more in the realm of kind of like pop or electronic artists, but yeah, where you just sort of throw in like a MIDI instrument or a recorded instrument, but like just for like a little flavor.
Yeah.
It's not like there's an actual sort of like, it's not like that instrument has like a whole structure or point in the whole song.
I agree.
Again, a favorite, but just for whatever reason, interest changing over time, really got back into classic punk band Dead Kennedys.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just, I guess I sort of got drawn to it because I was listening to some surf rock recently, and I had some music on shuffle, and Dead Kennedys came on, and it should have been kind of obvious, but one of their albums came on, and I was just like, wow, this is like very surf rock influence, like instrumentally. Yeah, I don't know. I just got really into them. It was just really cool. And I looked up some of the lyrics of their songs, and it's just really cool how they kind of have this like haunting sound where instrumentally it's reminiscent of surf rock, which is kind of comforting and beachy, but the lyrics are very dark and harsh, you know, just oh
dude, it's just metal without distortion.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it was super cool.
You know, like surf rock it's a genre of music I just never really like stepped my foot into. I don't know, it's just because I think it's because I don't know what bands to listen to. I think that's what it really comes down to. Is just because like I know the sound, I have the sound in my head, but it's like I don't know like good surf rock bands to actually check out. So if you know any surf rock bands, send it in the comments below.
Yeah, I can send you some recs. I know a couple good ones. A lot of like completely female surf rock bands are pretty banging.
Okay.
Like La Luz and the Bomb Bombs, Surf Curse. I have a coworker that's in a surf rock band. That's kind of what inspired me getting back into it. Was he was talking about going to some shows, and I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, I don't want to talk bad on surf rock, but it is pretty one note. Like it's like a vibe. But there are some groups out there that have some variation to it. But I like it. It's just comforting.
Okay.
Oh, Dick Dale is a classic.
Yes, I know that one because of Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
So there's this band called Dios or Dios. I don't know how Ichika says it, but Ichika Nito's like famous YouTube guitarist from Japan. Super sick. Has this really awesome J-pop band I've been really getting into. Like their 3 singles have been like on my repeat for a very long time. It's just very well done. I really like the guy's vocals a lot. They're like song structure, harmony, and just like Ichika's writing. It's like him being a very technical guitarist kind of like dials it back for like this J-pop group, but it's still very like it's very well written and has like some of his flashy moments, but he doesn't overdo it. And I really like that about what he just like the song calls for this. I'm not gonna go overly crazy for it.
Having restraint for what the song needs.
Yeah, I
not
really
necessarily like what you can do.
And then the last one, actually, this is a throwback. I found out about them like 2 days ago, but I actually listened to them today. Matt Heafy's old band from, I think this is when he was 16. It's called Caparnum.
Oh my God.
So like some of my coworkers are like, hey, like, have you heard of this band? And I was like, no. And then they were telling me like, this is Matt Heafy when he was like 16. And I was like, no way. My boy next to me, he was like, you know, it's pretty good actually. He just finished listening to like one song, and I was like, all right, got the confirmation. I got the go. Let's go. And then like listen to the whole album. It's pretty good. Like for him being 16,
solid.
I wasn't doing stuff at that time, but of course I'm like I had like a little bit of a jaded outlook just because I was like, oh, okay, it's whatever. But then thinking back, what I was doing, I was 16. I was like, I was not doing that. I was not recording at that level. I was not recording at all. I was still a bedroom guitar, so I was like, it's very impressive.
That's awesome.
To what he is now, like a successful band, Trivium, and then now has an airplane hangar for like studio, like either studio band practice.
Oh yeah.
So like he's doing very well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, good for you, man.
I think about that like there was some video I'd watched about Between the Buried and Me when they made Colors and just how they were teenagers making that. That's crazy. They were all in a very small room, just all crammed in there together trying to record that. It's crazy.
I know. I wish I had that motivation.
And I think Born of Osiris, I think they also like got together in high school or something.
Yeah, the drummer actually wrote the first album. He's the mastermind behind Born of Osiris.
Makes sense. Not that I know music theory necessarily, but I've heard people mention before that in Gent the drummer really kind of carries the lead.
No, I'm talking about like he wrote the guitar parts and stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see.
So he's the mastermind, not like you need him, but like he's like
a Noop Sastry with his albums. Yeah.
Yeah, like he like wrote the riffs and stuff like that, and like Lee plays them live.
I see. That's cool.
So like, yeah, when I found that, I was like, no way. And then eventually, like, I saw a playthrough of like Cameron stuff off the New Rain, which is like the first album, and I was like, yeah, I can definitely see like him being the mastermind.
I was glad when they remastered that.
Oh, it sounds so much better.
I was like, yes, thank you. Now I can actually like consume this album.
And some of the solos are redone too. I'm like, I like the way they flared it up a bit more.
Yeah, like bring new tricks that you got.
Exactly.
There's this group called Weston Supermame. And I got turned on to them because they got some comparisons to Car Bomb.
Ooh.
And yeah, that's what I got to say. They sound like Car Bomb, which that's exciting to me.
Hey, yeah.
Give me more Car Bomb.
Oh, speaking of Car Bomb, Frontier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for this.
Oh, yeah. Frontier's got a new album going to come out. They got a new single coming out tomorrow called Oxidized.
Ooh,
and
so
some new
heavy.
merch dropping Friday.
Just like brutal.
Yeah, I'll probably get a shirt. And as far as I've heard, they are trying to work on like
Coming
a
to the
US
US.
tour. Yeah.
They've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
I remember I was talking when we met Yvette Young, and like she was like wearing a Frontier shirt.
That's right. I think she was wearing like an Orange Mathematics shirt.
We were like,
maybe. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, she was excited, and we were excited. Like we were just talking about, like, yeah, they keep saying they're gonna like do a U.S. tour, and we're waiting.
That would be sick. Yeah, because they're touring over there, and they record a lot of it and have a lot of videos that they'll release, and it always looks awesome. I mean, their light show is like an epileptic hell.
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy constant strobe effects.
Another speak of epilepsy, I recently just got one of my friends. No, he recently got himself into Meshuggah after like bashing it for a while. He says he wasn't really bashing it, but he was listening to Dancers of a Discord or whatever.
Okay.
And he said he really liked that rhythm. And then we dove all the way back to where Meshuggah sounded like Metallica a little bit.
Oh yeah, when they were thrashy.
Yeah, and then eventually he kind of, I guess he did like some listening on his own time, and then he was like, "So I'm listening to The Violent Sleep of Reason," and I just kind of like look at him and I was like,
"Oh, are you now?"
Yes, yes, join. So like, yeah, I'm excited for when Meshuggah actually is coming around, like February.
Yeah, February.
I'm excited for
with
that.
Converge.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited for that, especially now that I've like.
You showed me their new shirt.
Gone hog wild and just gotten fully obsessed with them.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. I'm excited for that. There's Loathe. I want to see Loathe for sure. I know they're coming around soon.
Are they?
Yeah, with Architects.
Oh, you did send me that. Yeah, that's like December or something. That's like,
I gotta get tickets for that soon.
Yeah,
because I want to see Loathe. Like, I like Architects. They're tight, but I'm like,
Loathe.
Loathe is the one I want to see.
I would stay for a bit of Architects, but I'm not into them enough. I would get to bed on time, with the Architect show is what I'm saying.
That's funny. So yeah, it's cool, man. One last thing that I've been listening to, not really listening to, but like that kind of got released, but I still don't like it. It's called Mix Grape by Buried Alive. Do you know
Buried Alive? Yeah, I do know them.
So like I still can't get into his music. Great, fantastic guitar player. Can destroy me. It makes me want to sell my instruments. Every single one of them. I just can't get into Buried Alive. I just can't.
I feel the same way. Every so often clips of him will come up on my social media and I watch it and I go, that was rad, and then I move on. But whenever I try to actually listen to his albums or EPs, I just don't have the attention span for it. And I think it's because it's like I've mentioned with some tech death before and some of these subgenres where there's like a culture around hyper technicality.
Mm-hmm.
Like Buried Alive to me just like crosses that line into just overindulgence and technical wankery, and just doesn't have like the cohesive song structure that's like interesting to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, shitting on him or like taking away from him. Like you said, like he's a madman.
Very.
But
much a
it's
madman.
just, I'm just not interested in just, I don't know, hearing him like wank off on the guitar. Like I want to hear like I want to hear like ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys in a song. Like just.
Mm-hmm. What I will say about that album that I do like, I try to find stuff that I like, at least in albums, his acoustic songs are very pretty. Like I dug them a lot.
I don't think I've heard any of his acoustic stuff.
Yeah, like the acoustic songs on Mix Grape is actually very, very good. And I was just like, I didn't think he had like a soft side, and I was like, I dug it.
Oh, I might have to check that out.
So I just like his like super gated like guitar like technical wankery. Awesome. I was just like, it's a little not too much. I can handle it. I just don't. I hate saying like I don't like the way they mix, because I like when music mixes together because we get a new product. But I don't know. just doesn't flow with me.
Yeah.
It just it doesn't vibe with me. Maybe at some point I'll check it out and be again like, oh, I actually like it now.
I guess also what I was saying before is like I can turn it on and enjoy it, but it doesn't have a lasting effect on me.
Yeah.
It's not like something I'll continually go back to and be a favorite.
Yeah, I agree. There's this one band that I just could not get into, Swans. I know a lot of
Oh no. Oh yeah.
a lot of people like Swans, but it's also like yeah.
I guess the thing I'll say with that is maybe it depends on what album you listen to.
Because it's very different.
Because they've been in the game for a while and they have a lot of albums. And do you happen to recall by any chance?
Yeah, I mean Filth. That was the album that.
Oh, okay, the black one with like the teeth on it. Yeah. That one grew on me. It's
like it was so off-putting.
It's very grimy.
Yeah,
it's very grimy.
I almost feel like it felt dirty listening to it.
Yes, I feel the same way. It feels very grungy. I felt like I was in like a gym or something, but it was like I'm in a gym, but everyone's looking at me menacingly.
Mm-hmm. Like you're like, don't. You know what I'm listening to.
Yeah.
And you know I shouldn't be listening to it.
After this, I'll have to send you like a later album of theirs and see if you dig it. Because they definitely have a wide breadth of stuff that they cover. And I think they are one of those bands where they really do get more refined and better as they go on. And like their last like 4 albums are the ones that I got into them late in their career. They're all done now. They did a final tour. But yeah, their last like 4 or 5 albums are just unreal.
Okay.
They're just these huge, like, I forget how long some of those albums are, like 2 hours, 2+ hour, just epics. I mean, long, like 17-minute tracks, and they just wind and they get real dark and heavy. It's really good stuff.
Okay. Yeah, definitely send me the link because like after listening to Filth, I was just like, I don't know if I want to listen to this again, even though like friends at work whereas like just give it a shot, like you like it or you don't, but like if you want some new music, like this is something that I've been digging into, and I'm like, okay. And then after I listened to it at work, I was like, my eyes were wide and just kind of like my ears were like, you know, when you kind of like when you raise your eyebrows, your ears kind of go up with it. You're like, yeah, what?
They are cool. Yeah, I would say give them another chance and like just try out some different albums because they got a buttload of them.
Yeah,
definitely their later albums. The Contortionist has been doing some streams of albums. They did Clairvoyant.
That's a good one.
And then recently they had Exoplanet.
I was unfortunately not able to see that,
which I was super pumped for. I watched them both. I actually watched them like later, not the night that they premiered. They were super good. Clairvoyant I enjoyed, but at this point I've seen them play that album enough live. Whereas Exoplanet, 1, I was excited to hear it live in its entirety, and 2, able to hear it with Mike Lessard on vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And
was it heavier than usual? Yeah,
it was crazy heavy. These notes that I wrote down, I said it can be easy to forget with proggy ethereal material that they're monsters. Normally I try to paraphrase my notes and incorporate it into like the way I'm saying more naturally, but I just thought that was so funny. I'd just say that. They are monsters.
I agree.
I mean, going back to Exoplanet where they were just going just all in. Lessard's a beast on vocals, and I really didn't have much that I didn't like with it other than they didn't actually play Exoplanet in its entirety. They skipped songs 3, 4, and 5. They skipped Expire, Contact, and Advent, and instead played songs from
Intrinsic.
Which I dig that album. It was awesome to hear those songs, but I was really excited to hear all of Exoplanet, especially because Contact is a song I love. It's got a chorus that I'm like obsessed with. And then also, I'm pretty sure it's in Expire. There's some growled vocals that I think is the funniest shit, where he growls like unavoidable paradigm right before a breakdown. And I just have always found it the funniest thing that only in prog can you get these science-y terms in lyrics right before a breakdown. Unavoidable paradigm. It's just so goofy.
It just sounds so like the way I kind of was able to describe that is like a phrase how I used to describe Meshuggah, and like several friends used to describe Meshuggah. It's like cavemen and spaceships.
Oh yeah, true. Caveman heavy, but yeah, the lyrics are crazy for Meshuggah. It's like I've seen people make jokes before where it's like Jens is just like taking shit out of a dictionary and just like throwing it together. It's just like these crazy words no one's ever uttered before, stringing them together.
That's pretty funny. Actually.
Oh, the only other thing I can knock against the live streams is, and I mean, I get if it was kind of out of the control and stuff, but there were pretty frequently some frame rate stutters. There were lots of instances where the visuals were just kind of chunking along. But, you know, you work with what you got, whatever. You know, audibly, it was still perfect. Random, you know, thank you, YouTube. Thank you, random recommendations algorithm, for, you know, knowing exactly what I want. I stumbled upon this video, and the channel was Cardivox Academy, and the host of it, the vocal coach, is Mark, the vocalist of Kardashev, and he had a guest on of Dickie Allen. And he interviewed him about how he got into being this, you know, disgusting vocalist that we love that he is today. And it was really interesting, a lot of insightful stuff with it. Going into it, my assumption would have been his origin story, Dickie Allen, was just he was super into metal, just kind of knew he wanted to be a vocalist and just like refined his stuff. But really, it made sense once he said it. Really, he wanted to be a cartoon voice actor. And so growing up, he just did all these weird voices and inflections, and he wanted to make his like own cartoon and voice all the characters. And it was
that's actually really cool.
And he wasn't even into metal, actually. He had some friends who turned him onto it and were like, dude, you would be amazing as a metal vocalist. And he like wasn't super into it at first. He was like, I don't know, whatever. So I just find it so funny that he deemed at such a pinnacle of deathcore vocals, and just that he like reluctantly stumbled into it.
It was cool seeing him live, by the way. We saw him with Vulvodina with his band Scumfuck.
The other thing was he worked in haunted houses, so he did his weird voices to scare kids in haunted houses. And then they got into different techniques and stuff, and it was really cool hearing so much intricate detail about vocals that I'm not used to hearing. I mean, I don't really watch Vocal Theory or vocalist trainers or anything, but it was just really cool hearing how they have their own world and terms and techniques that they use. And it was kind of cool hearing like Dickie talk about how he doesn't gatekeep, so to speak, about vocal techniques. Like he has no issue with people like cupping the mic.
He's not a purist.
Yeah, he's like, your voice is the instrument, use it. And he had a same stance with effects in post. He was just like, you do what you got to do to like make the product, you know? So I don't know. I just thought it was like a really cool, enlightening interview that I stumbled upon.
That's awesome. I know like a lot of people back in the day, like especially vocalists, hated when other like vocalists would like legitimately like cup the mic, and like they would see that as cheating to get like a deeper effect. But I think I think like if the product's good, the product's good.
Yeah, I have that same stance. Also, Dickie also mentioned too, like as the vocalist, you're literally fighting against drums and guitars and bass.
Yeah,
like
you're fighting.
You got to do what you got to do to get your voice heard through the mic.
Like the way we're holding our mics versus like a vocalist has to hold their mics. And on top of that, a vocalist is like should be moving around on stage. So like if he grabs like the actual head of the mic, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, you could be like recentering yourself, like getting back to a balance.
Yeah, and like I can definitely see it like how they concentrate their voice a little bit, but like I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get heard.
And especially if you're doing deep guttural growls too, like getting a sort of stance and really like bending and coming from your diaphragm.
Mm-hmm. I've never really dove deep into like vocals either, but it's very interesting for sure.
Yeah, after watching that, I might check out some more of it. And plus, the guy from Kardashev, it was really interesting too because he does the low lows and also the like angelic highs. He has a really dynamic range.
That's awesome. It's really hard to find vocalists that are like that.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, like Tommy Rogers.
Yeah, I always love when vocals have that range, or if there's multiple vocalists that can cover a wide range. I always find that very interesting.
Mm-hmm. We'll end it off with our concert review. Hopefully you guys enjoy it when we actually put it in there. I'm signing off. Walter.
This is Brent.
Have a good night, and here's a review.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Soundcheck. It is 2:01 a.m. What a night it ended up being. Show was fun. Between the Buried and Me, the concert, I think it was called like a special evening with Between the Buried and Me, and it was just them, no other bands.
The headliner was super sick. It was just Between the Buried and Me.
Yeah. They did 2 sets. First set was a random mishmash throughout their discography. I looked up on setlist.fm, and what they played on like 2 nights ago, it was Astral Body, Yellow Eyes, Backwards Marathon. Also, I've been 1,000,000% wrong every time I've said Memory Palace as that Coma Ecliptic song I like. It's the Coma Machine is what it's called. I think there is a song called Memory Palace on that album, but yeah, regardless, Fix the Error, More of Myself to Kill, Mordecai, Reaction, The Grid, and then the second set was The Great Misdirect in its entirety.
With White Walls as the ending closer.
Yeah, that's right. White Walls, usual encore ender. Yeah, it was a good time being back. The venue required masks, which I was fine with. I mean, it got pretty hot and sweaty, but bonk.
So yeah, the venue was really hot and sweaty, and like man, like the crowd came up with so much energy. I think more energy than I thought the crowd would actually be given regarding with like COVID and stuff like that. It's basically non-existent. We didn't check out any of the restaurants over there. We already ate beforehand, which we were totally fine with. I mean, a lot of the restaurants there were like super bougie, but I guess we'll probably go back there next time. Super sweaty, there's man sweat everywhere. People were crowd surfing. It was kind of tight. I helped the dude crowd surf. Sweaty. There was a super drunk girl over there, like just kept getting in the way, and like he like punched my girlfriend in the head by accident, and then like stared at her. I definitely don't miss the drunken antics from drunken people at concerts, and like the mosh pits were pretty tight too. We personally didn't go in. I just wanted to enjoy the show.
Yeah, she was pretty sloppy. There was one point she bumped into me a couple times. There was one point where she went in the pit, I think accidentally, and she 3 times back to back fell down and needed to be picked up. But yeah, the crowd was really there for it. Lots of laughter and hooping and hollering, and I think people were just super excited to be back in a venue. It was a really good time, really good mood. I also didn't go in the pit. I got through the show pretty unscathed. I didn't really do anything risky. I really just kind of hung out on the outskirts. For the first set, I feel like it made me realize that I'm a fan of theirs, but maybe not a diehard fan, because I did not recognize most of the songs played. I know they played some newer stuff, which I'm not as familiar with, like Automata 1 and 2. I've only listened to like once through, and then the new singles for Colors 2. I'm interested in hearing it. I'm just kind of waiting for the full album because it comes out soon anyway.
I was actually like, I guess like kind of like judging the venue a little. It was super muddy. Like I couldn't hear some of the songs, like even with like the earplugs in, like kind of cleaning up a lot of the mud that's in the venue. I mean, like I couldn't really hear back like where the I guess where the sound engineers were and like I couldn't really hear that well in the front either. So I think just as overall sound, it wasn't really that great. I had to take out my earplugs just a few times just to like make sure if I'm hearing a song correctly. But I think you're just gonna get a lot of mud with like such a small space anyways, and like the crowd kind of like sometimes cutting through the instruments. But other than that, I mean, like as we were watching the live performances, like Paul was super on top of his game. So was Dan Briggs. Tommy Rogers is awesome. Blake, and like Dusty as well. Unfortunately, he had like a little back injury, and he was in the ER, so he was like playing guitar sitting down, which was like he's still going at it. He was still like shredding. It looked like he was just in practicing mode. It was fucking awesome though. After the show, I mean, like crazy out. Like we went to go set out on like a mission to get some pizza, and like don't do it. don't try to get food after the venue, because we got out the venue around like 11:30 whatever. Now it's like 2:08 as I'm driving, and we were driving around DC looking for parking, and just could not find parking whatsoever. Eventually we almost gave up. We parked at a CVS luckily, and like just got a slice. But after like I think an hour or two, not 3 hours, geez, of just going around DC, but there was a lot of antics.
Yeah, it was our buddy Damien's birthday tonight, and we celebrated by making him chauffeur us around and unsuccessfully find parking to get a restaurant somewhere.
It's kind of worth it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was a goofy time. I mean, I haven't been in DC in a while, and it's a wild ride in there. I mean, I always enjoy people watching, and there was a lot to spectate. A lot of weird stuff going on. But yeah, I experienced that too in the show with the muddiness. The first set, we were like halfway back in the venue where the sound engineers were, and I did that exact same thing. Sometimes I took my earplugs out. I'm like, are my earplugs like really ruining this? But yeah, that was just kind of the venue, and then we had a group of friends that was up front the entire time, and they experienced the same thing.
Yeah, I think it was just probably just bad soundproofing. Or just bad. Well, I can't even say it's bad mixing, because I'm sure the sound engineers did what they could to try to clean up the mud as best as they could. But like with such a small stage, I mean, like even like their like speakers, they were kind of on the ground too, so they couldn't really like project. Not where they weren't on the ground; they were like a little above the stage, but like everything was just kind of going like one direction. It was just forward. There was no like omnidirectional, I guess, sound, whatever. I guess that usually doesn't matter, but I think it's just the size of the room is what that factored into like a lot of the mud, just because a bunch of frequencies are just like bouncing off the walls and stuff like that. Overall, I think I would give this show, I think, around 7.7. It was super good, super fun. First concert back. The sound kind of like catered to a lot of the disappointment, but I was still pretty excited to be like at a show, you know?
Yeah, I think I'd go with like 7 or 7.5. I was super pumped to finally hear The Great Misdirect in its entirety. Not to rehash it, because I'm sure I've said it multiple times already, but Great Misdirect was the album that got me into BTBAM, and Fossil Genera is still my favorite song by them. That album, to me, from start to finish, I just feel like all the songs flow together.
They really do.
They just transition so smoothly, and it was just cool hearing some of even the more softer songs, like towards the end, right before Swim to the Moon is Desert of Song, and Paul actually sings most of that song, which is pretty cool. And to my knowledge, they hardly, if ever, play that live.
Listening to that album, like, I think I was refreshing myself listening to that album like a few times, like last month or whatever, and I actually did not know that Paul could sing a little bit, you know? Oh, another cool thing that what happened was the merch guy actually came up and like started screaming, I think, was it White Walls or whatever?
Oh, that's who that was. Yeah, I didn't put together at all who that was.
Yeah, it was the merch guy, and I was just like, oh, I had no idea they just allowed him, like...
Oh, you know, yeah, it's at the very beginning of Swim to the Moon. There's a part where there's some like guest vocalist, which on the album I don't know who it is.
Yeah, same. And like, I guess the merch guy did it, but I was like, I thought that was just some random civilian who just got on stage.
Yeah, I thought it was like a stage hand or something like that. Someone who's just with them on tour and has just like picked it up.
After the show was done, I just went to go get some merch, and then I was like, oh, kind of like put two and two together. It was like, oh, the merch guy did the vocals for like the beginning of that song. I forgot what song was it. Was it Swim to the Moon?
Yeah, it was Swim to the Moon.
Yeah, I thought that was super fun.
That song's nuts. Maybe I'm wrong, but I swear that song's like 18 minutes long or something like that. That's insane. It's crazy that they have the long songs that they do. Yeah, just that they have the stamina to go that long.
Dude, oh yeah, playing 2 sets, like that's insane. Especially like fairly complex songs is like as they have. And they went back to like what's Silent Circus, I think.
Yeah.
More for Myself to Kill and stuff like that. Like I completely disregarded a lot of those early albums just because like that's not the Between the Bear to me that I know. Like I started off with like listening to Parallax, and I thought that was like a great introduction to them. And then I started like checking their older albums out, like Great Misdirect and then Colors. And then like I saw Silent Circus, and I saw like I guess was it their self-titled one or whatever, like the one with the stage on it.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Yeah, I think the early stuff they played tonight was Backwards Marathon, More of Myself to Kill, and Mordecai. I think were the real classic ones. Yeah, those also are the ones I never really got into as much, where they were still sort of more metalcore. Yeah, once they got proggy is where I got on board.
Yeah. Also apologize for like our voices sound a little hoarse just because we've been up for so long. It's still a good show. I fairly enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I'm really excited for some future shows coming up. I'm this week leading up to this, it never really felt real to me that we were finally going to a concert. And even when I was physically there in the venue, it still sort of felt surreal. I was just kind of like, I can't believe we're already here.
I think next time we try this, I think we're going to try like do like a video lapse of it. I think it was kind of cool. I mean, like the venue handled it pretty well. Well, actually, I will say one thing about the venue. A lot of people got like glass like for their drinks, and I was just kind of not about it because like a glass broke on the floor, and I was just like, why aren't they giving out like plastic cups, like where people are like kind of actually, you know, being somewhat reckless.
Yeah, that wasn't ideal. I kept getting some like stuck on the bottom of my foot. I'm pretty sure that was only my second time at Black Cat. The first time was when we saw Toe years ago.
Oh yeah, Toe was awesome. Like if you ever see Toe like coming to America, 100% go see them. Like drop everything that you're doing, just see them. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, I don't think I got much either. It's 2:17 a.m. and I still got a ways to go to get home. But it was fun. It was worth it.
Oh yeah, very much. And I don't think there was like no other crazy antics happening to the show, happening to us either, right?
Yeah, not really. Just the stuff like you already said. The crowd was into it. The mosh pit was pretty crazy. And then just like weird antics in late night DC as we were just roaming around trying to find some pizza somewhere.
I feel like there was another one. There was another antic that I feel like.
There was the
pizza incident. I'm gonna call that.
Oh, well, there was the sloppy girl, and then was it the very sweaty guy that was?
Oh yeah, the sweaty guy.
There was the super sweaty guy that was with the sloppy girl, and he was like a wet sponge. I mean, just he kept bumping into me, and it was nasty.
So like, this is another one with the crowd. Like, there's these. One thing I definitely don't miss is like just I don't want to say entitled assholes either, because like that's not the right word. But I guess like people who are so comfortable being in the pit, they just like transfer that energy to the crowd as they're trying to walk along. You know what I mean? So like people just like he's just going through people like if it was a pit versus just kind of like, you know, politely asking like, hey, I'm actually trying to get here. I'm just actually trying to get here, whatever.
I think I saw the instance that you're talking about. There was a guy that just like tore through the crowd, parting people as he went by.
Oh yeah, I was like, asshole. But like I got a pretty good satisfaction. Like as the pit started, I just like threw him right in the pit. I was like, I'm done.
Back from whence you came.
Yeah, exactly. Back to Mordor. But yeah, I mean that's all I got for today. Thank you for listening. Signing off, Walter.
And I'm Brent. See y'all.